بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين لا سيما بقية الله في الأرضين أجل الله تعالى فرجه الشريف وجعلنا من أعوان وأنصار. Alhamdulillah, we discussed so far the significance of social life in Islam, and we talked about certain characteristics of an Islamic society or community. We talked about justice. We talked about being balanced. We talked about being united and avoiding division. We talked about the significance of observing the truth. And one of the things that the Quran says about the truth is to be found in this beautiful example in the Quran about haq and batil, about truth and falsehood. Allah says, imagine rain is coming and a kind of either flood or, for example, flow of water is formed. You would see that the surface of water is all covered by, some, as the Quran says, zabad, which is what you call bubbles. It's all covered by bubbles, as if there is nothing else under these bubbles. So your eyes will be filled with these bubbles. But the Quran says this is not going to remain. After some time, when everything becomes stable, these bubbles go away. What remains is water. This is the reality. Allah says, أَمَّا الزَّبَدْ فَيَذْهَبُ جُفَاءً. These bubbles will go away. وَأَمَّا مَا يَنْفَعُ النَّاسِ فَيَمْكُثُ فِي الْأَرْضِ. But what benefits people would remain. So, batil, falsehood is like these bubbles. They occupy every place. They occupy your eyes, You think that there is nothing left. But if you are patient, after some time you will see that everything is clear again and the truth prevails. It becomes again very visible. So this is the nature of haq and batil. لِلْحَقِّ الدَّوْلَةِ وَلِلْبَاطِلِ الْجَوْلَةِ. Batil always, is quick, going from some place to another place, catching the eyes, attracting your attention. This is the nature of batil. Truth is not that much fast in moving and catching the eyes, but if you are patient, the truth prevails. You can find example in many cases. There are people who don't have, sometimes knowledge. They make lots of propaganda. But after some time, those who are really knowledgeable and pious will be known. Or, for example, there are schools of thought or, things like that. Like, for example, imagine Marxism. There was a time that Marxism was so common that even many Muslim lecturers in universities, many students, they became Marxist. But where is Marxism now? لِلْحَقِّ دَوْلَةِ وَلِلْبَاطِلِ جَوْلَةِ. So, Allah says, batil is like bubbles and go away. وَأَمَّا مَا يَنْفَعُ النَّاسِ فَيَمْكُثُ فِي الْأَرْضِ. So from this verse, I understand that one of the characteristics of haq is that it must benefit people. And it will therefore remain and endure. Anything that we do which is not beneficial, it is not haq. and therefore cannot remain. Anything which is done with good understanding of haqq, it would benefit and it would remain. Look at, for example, books written by people. Many people write books. But if you really observe what is needed now, and you write something for serving the truth, it will remain. Look at, for example, Mafatih by Sheikh Abbas Qummi. With a good intention and with a scholarly work, he wrote something that benefited people, and therefore it remained. If it was not beneficial for people, it would not have remained. And if it was not with a scholarly work, it would not have been beneficial. It would be misguiding people, or diverting their attention to something which is not important. So he first identified what is really needed. He put lots of work in that, energy, and importantly, pure intention, and it remained, alhamdulillah. So this is something that we can all learn. We should never do anything just for sake of doing something, or just to show off, or just to catch the eyes of people. We must find out what is really needed, what is really required from me in service to the truth, and then inshallah when we do it, it will remain for generations. So this is one of the things that, with respect to the truth, I wanted to mention from the Quran. In brief, what we have to do is, first of all, we have to have concern for the truth. I just make a list. Each of them needs explanation, but we don't have time. Very briefly, I just mentioned those things that should, inshallah, remain in your mind, and later, you can expand. One is you have to have concern for the truth. As a mu'min, you cannot be indifferent about the truth. So I don't bother about the truth. This truth can be about your life, about social life, about political life. You cannot say, I am not interested in truth. I don't want to know the truth. Some people think that if you don't know the truth, you would have no responsibility. So it's better not to know. But this is not an excuse. If someone is dying next to me, this is not an excuse to say, I didn't know that he's dying. My neighbor is, starving and has nothing to buy food, and I say, I didn't know. This is not an excuse. So why you didn't try to know? We have to have concern for the truth. We have to look for the truth. And interestingly, this interest in knowing the truth leads us towards God, because the ultimate truth is God. The curiosity that human beings have to find out the truth is not separate from their desire for God. This is the pressure which comes from within to move us towards the ultimate truth, which is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. After having concern for the truth and looking for the truth, we have to accept the truth. It's not that I do everything to find out the truth, but when I see that the truth doesn't benefit me, I want to escape. I don't want to accept. Whether truth is beneficial for you at that moment or not, you have to accept it, because acceptance of the truth in the long term is always beneficial. Maybe for a moment you can hide the truth, you can deny the truth, you can reject the truth, but truth remains. You have to adjust yourself according to truth. You cannot expect the truth to serve you. If we are clever, we will never resist against the truth. One of my teachers used to give us a very good example. He was saying that if someone comes, even a child, and tells you that there is, for example, something like some clay or, something, dirty on your face, on your forehead. Maybe you were fixing your car and, some oil or something is now on your forehead. What would you do? You quickly accept and try to remove that. You would not say, this is a child, why I should listen to a child. You would not say, let me hide this, don't accept this. No. You know that when something dirty is on your forehead, you have to accept and try to clean it. But unfortunately, when it comes to moral problems, we don't accept it so easily. If you say, there is something, like a black spot on your, forehead, I accept. But if you say in your heart there is selfishness, I don't accept. And I think by not accepting, the problem is solved. But the problem is not solved. No matter who is telling you the truth, maybe your friend or your enemy, you have to accept the truth. But it's very difficult. One of the biggest tests for us is to accept the truth when it comes from an enemy or someone with whom we are fighting. I have a fight with someone, and he says something, I have to be so brave that say, oh, you are right. And I believe that such people who admit their mistakes are closest people to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because they are closest to the truth. And to be truthful is not different to serve Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Maybe you find it very different, but I can prove this. That to be truthful is very close to be the best servant of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But بشرطها وشروطها. But sooner or later such a person would reach Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Even if today he is not a mu'min. If he is so truthful, if she is so truthful, that is ready to accept the truth, no matter who is telling the truth, this person is very close to Allah, and the first day he or she becomes a Muslim, he is one of the best Muslims. Look at Salman. Salman had searched for truth. Truth for him was the most important thing. His nationality, his ethnicity, his language, his family were not the most important thing for him. For him, the truth was the most important thing. And the first day Salman became Muslim, he was a special Muslim. It didn't take Salman, many years to become an outstanding companion of the Prophet. It didn't take Abu Zar many years. Why? Because they were truthful and then they became Muslims. So from the first day, they were very close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But unfortunately, there are people who are Muslims for decades and they are not truthful. So they are far from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The Prophet said, a sky has not provided shade and shadow for anyone more frank, more truthful than Abu Zar. Abu Dhar was an idol worshipper, but he was truthful. As soon as he realized that God is the true, and idols are batil, he became wholeheartedly a believer in Islam. And he was a special man. It is said that even when Abu Dhar was taking the Prophet from Mecca to Medina in the night of Laylatul Mabit, he had put the Prophet under some dress or in some kind of bag. The pagans asked Abu Zar, what are you carrying? He said, I'm carrying Muhammad. He didn't tell lies. And they didn't believe in him. If he's carrying him, why he's telling? So they let him go. If you tell the truth all the time, you would benefit. In the long term, definitely you are going to benefit. But even in the short term, in many cases, maybe 90% you will benefit. It's not that just in the long term. Even in short term, in many cases you benefit. This is why Imam Sadiq said, "An-najatu fi-sidq." Honesty is the best policy. An-najatu fi-sidq. So, we have to serve the truth, first by looking for it, second by accepting it, thirdly by not hiding the truth. One of the things is not to hide the truth, just to keep it for yourself. You have to share the truth. Because if something is true, everyone has a right to know that. Of course, the exception is when there are certain things about people's problems and faults and, sins. That type of truths, we should keep it hidden. That is exception. That is a matter of privacy. So if I know something bad of a person, which is true, I shouldn't share it with people. But if it is something which relates to people, it's general, like, for example, knowing about God, knowing about religion, knowing about morality, knowing about the needs of humanity. So you have responsibility to share this truth with other people. This is your love for the truth, that you want the truth to be known by other people. And the other thing is that you have to speak the truth, but in the way that it doesn't harm the truth. And this is where reality and truth are connected. Let me give you an example. Sometimes people think that just to tell the truth is enough. No. You have to tell the truth in the way that it serves the truth. If a mother has lost her child and she doesn't know, you see that, for example, the child had an accident and was killed. So the mother doesn't know. How do you tell the mother that the child has been killed? You cannot say, and without any preparation say that your child was killed, and you say, I told the truth. Here, to tell the truth requires observing many other things. And therefore, bilhaq, when in the Quran Allah says to do things bilhaq, it doesn't just mean to tell the truth. It means to tell the truth and observe the etiquettes of telling the truth. Sometimes I have to say it indirectly. Sometimes I have to bring lots of things to prepare. It's a very important concept. So, to be true and to be right to be said are well connected in Islam. Some people think these are two separate things. To be true is something, to be right to be said is something separate. But we say no, these are connected. The only thing is that you have to have overall picture of the truth. What is the best way of saying the truth that would not harm? This is the right way of thinking. I don't have time to go into details. In any way, this is a very important characteristic of Islamic community, that they must serve the truth, they must be truthful, they must be honest, and they must be trustworthy. Another thing that we have to have in Islamic community is thirst for knowledge. Thirst for knowledge is not only for individuals. Remember what we said at the beginning. In many cases, we have only individualistic approach to morality. We say, okay, as a Muslim man and woman, you have to seek knowledge even if it requires you to go to China. As a Muslim man or woman, you have to require knowledge from the time of birth up to the time of death. But what about a community? This is very important. You cannot say, it is enough if every person in the community is educated, is knowledgeable, is, a scholar. No, this is not enough. Sometimes you may have a community of, for example, 100 people who are all alim, all have PhDs, all who have, degrees from best universities. This doesn't necessarily make that community a community which is science-based, which is knowledge-based. In addition to having educated members, the community must be run by knowledge and science. Not just to have individuals who are educated. If we have a town, and in this town, everyone has, best qualifications. But the way we run our town, the traffic, I don't know, removal of the rubbish, everything is not run according to science and knowledge. This is not Islamic town, although everyone is educated. So there is a difference between education as a qualification for individuals and between having a community which makes decisions according to science and knowledge and best experiences which are available. So these are two separate things, and we need both. Another thing is that our community must be a community which is rational. So much emphasis has been put in Islam, especially the school of Ahlul Bayt, about being rational. And in one of these DVDs, alhamdulillah, we have 11 lectures only on one hadith of Imam Kazim alayhi salam about significance of aql, in which Imam addresses Hisham ibn Hakam and says many important things about aql. This hadith is mentioned at the beginning of Usul al-Kafi. One of the important things that Imam Kazim says about aql is, he says, أَرْفَعُ النَّاسِ دَرَجَةً فِي الدُّنْيَا وَالْآخِرَةِ أَكْمَلُهُمْ عَقْلًا. The highest person in position in dunya and akhirah is the one who is more perfect in his aql. Anything else must serve you to have more aql. If you pray more, if you recite more, if you do more hajj, more ziyarah, but your aql is not developed, it's not that much beneficial. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala rewards people according to their aql, according to their understanding. Beka'u thibu wa beka'u aqib. He expects us to do things according to our understanding. So, as a community, if we are rational, what should we do? How should we make decisions? How should we run our majalis? How much we should pay attention to increasing the knowledge of our members in contrast to just doing things that we emotionally enjoy, but no knowledge is coming out of that. Unfortunately, in many cases, we enjoy more emotional functions. So if you bring someone who has no knowledge at all, but can you give, a very good speech, we will be very interested and we are, all coming and attending. But if you say, for example, there is a great Ayatollah coming who doesn't speak any English, we have to translate. How many people are showing their face? As a rational community, for you must not be important whether that person speaks, eloquently or not, whether he speaks language or not. You are looking for knowledge. If that person is speaking, Japanese or Chinese, but he has wisdom, you have to go and seek and benefit. But you see, unfortunately, this is happening in some countries, and it's spreading to all Shia community worldwide, that sometimes the most important personalities are not the knowledgeable people, are the people who have beautiful voice. And the same people, sometimes they do singing. In Muharram and Safar, they shift. The rest of the year, they're singing, and they do, professional recording. So this is not a sign of being a rational community. Sometimes I say, to people that if you have a society in which non-religious people follow actors and actresses and footballists, and religious people follow maddah and reciters, not ulama, this is not a rational society. A rational society is a society that people follow those who have greatest knowledge, greatest understanding, greatest wisdom. Not someone who is just a celebrity, someone who is well known, someone is a superstar. Superstar in playing, or superstar in singing, or superstar in doing some recitation. This is not a sign of rationality. I'm not against reciters. We very much love those reciters who do it with taqwa, with love for Ahlul Bayt. But we have to know what is the position and function of this person. This person is not the person who is going to guide and lead our community. This person has a limited function. We appreciate the job that he does, but we are not going to take our Islam from a reciter. We are not going to forget our maraj and ulama and follow these people. And unfortunately, some of them, even they challenge maraj. Some of them, they put the position in the position of God. So to be rational is another important quality of a Muslim community. Another thing that a Muslim community must have is to be hospitable. Hospitality as a quality for a person, alhamdulillah, exists. We Muslims, especially those who come from the East, we have this quality of hospitality. So if a guest comes to you, you always welcome guests. You don't say, I don't have time, go to hotel. You say, this is my guest, I have to respect him. Sometimes you don't have money. You borrow money because you want to look after your guest. Sometimes there are people who cannot afford to buy, meat or rice for their families, but then they have guests, they borrow money, and they provide their guests with the best thing that they can. Alhamdulillah, this is a good quality, and this is a quality from Ibrahim alayhi salam. Ibrahim was very hospitable. And in all Abrahamic religions, hospitality is very important. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam says that it is a requirement of Iman to be hospitable. Man kana yu'minu billahi wal yawmil akhir falyukrim dhayfahu. Whoever believes in God and the hereafter must honor his guest. And if you honor your guest, then Allah will honor you as his guest on the day of judgment. Okay, alhamdulillah, this quality is more or less still there. But what about a community? We haven't translated this quality into a quality of a community. As a community, when we have visitors, what should we do? We cannot say, if you come to my house, I am going to look after you, but you have come to our mosque, we don't bother. Go and find your way, somewhere in the mosque, No, when a person comes to the mosque, he's our guest. Maybe he doesn't speak our language, he doesn't know our customs. We have to make sure that he or she feels comfortable at home. Sometimes some people say, especially, some revered brothers and sisters, they say, we feel somehow, frightened to enter to some community centers. We don't feel we are at home. Any time we expect someone says, why you are here? You are not supposed to be here. I'm not saying that this is real worry or not, but this is the way they feel. So at least we were not able to overcome these feelings. We have not been able to show to them that this is your home. This is the place that you must feel very comfortable. We are at your service. Sometimes if you spend your time on welcoming such people, may be more pleasing to Allah than doing your salat. You have a guest of Allah in your place. You have to look after him. And of course, if he is all right, you can do your salat. Otherwise, it's important to show him, to help him, to guide him. They should not feel, a stranger. This is hospitality of a community. Sometimes as a state, you have guests, like refugees. As a state, we have to be hospitable to our refugees. We have tourists. We have to be hospitable. In holy cities like Qom, like Mashhad, like Najaf, like Karbala, those Zawar are our guests. If everyone looks at them as guests of the community, the taxi driver, the shopkeeper, the restaurant, they look at them as guests, not as, someone to just charge them over than the locals, because, they don't know what is the real, cost. Alhamdulillah, many people have these good qualities, but I'm thinking that we should develop this culture. We should have lots of programs to educate the people in such holy places how to welcome the guest, the zawar. And I always say in home, to people that we should have lots of programs to educate people at home, that when these people come as guests of Lady Fatima, how we should look after them. So, to be hospitable as a community, as a state, as a nation, is much more than just being hospitable to the people who come to your house. Another quality is to be safe. Islamic community is a safe community. It's safe for insiders and for outsiders. This is one of the most important qualities of a social life. One of the things that even Prophet Ibrahim prayed, وَاجْعَلْ هَذَا بَلَدًا آمِنًا. He asked that land of Mecca to be a safe place. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made Mecca a safe place. Haraman amina. Allah made it a very safe place. But in Islam, interestingly, amn, which is safety or security, is not only with respect to your life or money. Normally we say a place is safe if you are not attacked, if you are not killed, if you are not robbed. We say this is a safe place. But this is not enough Islamically. Islamically, to be safe means much more than this. I have to be so much assured about my safety that I know no one even would harm my reputation, my honor, my respect. Al-Muslimun man salama al-Muslimun min yadihi wa lisanihi. As a Muslim, no harm should come to me, whether by your hand or by your tongue. When I go outside my house for work, for a study, for shopping, members of my community, my society, my town must treat me in the way that I am honored, I am respected. They don't say bad words to me. They don't speak impolitely to me. They don't damage my reputation in my absence, and I do also the same. We observe not only money of people or blood of people, but also their reputation, their convenience, their comfort. You should go out of your way in order to avoid harming a Muslim, harming a human being. But unfortunately, sometimes just we are so careless that we say things that break the heart of people. We say things that damage the reputation of people. Sometimes a person has worked hard 20 years, 30 years, and he has gained some respect. And respect is a capital, especially for people who have social function. Someone like an alim, for him his respect is perhaps the most important thing, because this is the capital by which he can do his job. He can guide people, he can teach people if people respect him. But then I can just say something and damage the reputation and respect of this man. This man becomes useless. A teacher, I don't know, an elder in community. So all people need their respect and honor. And therefore Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't let anyone to damage the reputation of others. Even if this person has committed a sin, and you are 100% sure that he has committed this sin, still you have not right to say this to other people. So, in a Muslim society or community, there must be maximum safety and security for blood, for money, for your reputation, with respect to your family. You don't feel any worry about any harm coming from your brothers and sisters. And this is a culture of peace. You know, when we say, Salamun alaykum, this is not something just we say verbally. It means that no harm comes from me to you. The only thing that comes from me to you is offer of peace. It's very important. You know, I have a paper about this culture of peace in Islam, that how salam is meaning that we wish only good for each other. And in even heaven, salam is used. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says about the people of heaven in Surah Yunus, that دعواهم فيها سبحانك اللهم وتحيتهم فيها salam. Two Muslims, when they meet each other and they say salam, it means that be 100% sure that nothing other than good comes to you from me. We only wish you good. We only wish you peace. And there are also certain issues about the way that a Muslim community must plan for protection of the children and elderly people. We should provide them with care. We have hadith, many hadiths about this. For example, there is hadith from the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, in which he said, it's not one of us, means he's not counted as a Muslim, as a member of my ummah, if he doesn't show mercy to the children and doesn't show respect to the elders. لَيْسَ مِنَّا مَنْ لَمْ يَرْحَمْ صَغِيرَنَا وَلَمْ يُوَقِّرْ كَبِيرًا. So, as a sign of loyalty to the Prophet, love for the Prophet, we should love children. These children are trust of Allah and trust of the Prophet. Whether it is your children or children of other people, you have to look at them as trust. We should show them love. Once a person saw that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam kissing some children, maybe his grandchildren, and he was shocked. He said, I never kissed my children. You know, in that society, it was a sign of weakness if a man kisses his children. So he was shocked that how Prophet kisses his children. And the Prophet said, Man la yarham, la yurham. If you don't show love and mercy, you will not be shown love and mercy by Allah. You have to show love to your children. You have to show love to other children. أَحِبُّ السَّبْيَانَ وَارْحَمُوهُمْ وَإِذَا وَعَدْتُمُوهُمْ فَفُوا لَهُمْ. Love the children. And when you promise them something, keep your promise. Don't say, this is a child. It's not important. He is not going to take me to the court. Yes, he will take you to the court of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If you tell your child that I buy for you something, you must buy for him. And there is a beautiful hadith which is very much also showing the love of Allah. This hadith which says that when you promise your children, you must do it because they look at you as their Rabb. For a child, who is his Rabb? His father and mother. If he needs anything, the only hope that the child has is mother and father. You should never disappoint someone who looks at you as his Rabb. And now you can imagine what would be Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doing with us if we look at him as our Rabb. He will never disappoint us if we really ask him and say, Ya Rabb. Because he knows that we don't have any other Rabb. But this is if we do it honestly. Not that, we say, Ya Rabb, but I think of my boss as my Rabb, or my husband or wife as my Rabb. No, if we really know that he is our only Rabb, he will never disappoint us. So this is about the children, this is about the elders. We should have lots of plans in practice for our community to plan for the not only welfare of the children and elders, but also for their spiritual development. Alhamdulillah, in this community, we have a school. And having an Islamic school is a very important thing. I always emphasize on this. And I'm happy that, alhamdulillah, we have a school. But I think this school and any other Islamic school must be really supported by all members of the community. We cannot look at it as something that certain individuals are doing, and this is like, for example, their personal business or affair, and we don't have any responsibility. If some people have accepted this responsibility, they are doing this on behalf of all of us. So we have to support them. It's Rajab Kifai. If some people are doing this, we shouldn't say, okay, we don't have any responsibility. They have to do everything by themselves. All members of community and the whole community from all different levels, they have to support those who are giving this service. So our school must be the best school in every aspect, whether it is education, educational side of it, or Islamic side of it. And I hope that, inshallah, not very long, future, near future, not very, long, we will have high school, inshallah, proper high school, something that we can be proud of that, something that we can say that from every aspect this is to be taken as a role model by other communities. So this idea of a school is very important, and I pray here that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala rewards all the people who helped in establishment of this school and all who are working at the moment in this school and support this school. And I pray that, inshallah, all the children who come out of this school would be children who would be pleasing, inshallah, to Allah and Imam Mahdi, Ajjalallah ta'ala farajah. Another thing is about the respect that we should have for the people who undertake responsibilities. In a good Islamic community, people are not after fame, they are not after position. No one is looking as a kind of, privilege to undertake responsibility. It's not that we say, oh, alhamdulillah, I am, for example, leader or president or minister, or, I am marja. None of these are to be taken as privilege. These are all responsibilities. If you accept these responsibilities for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and you fulfill all the requirements, so it is an honor for you. But if you do it for your ego, to satisfy your ego, you say, oh, I have always had the dream to one day become an ayatollah and people, respect me and love me and kiss my hand. This means that shaitan is in your heart. People may know or may not know, but Allah knows. No marja ever, wants to be marja because of his own personal gain. They feel responsible, and sometimes, many of people go to them and, request them so that they finally are convinced, so that they issue their risala and, people follow them. The same is with any responsibility. The one who becomes judge, the one who becomes, imam of the mosque, the one who becomes president of the mosque, treasurer, secretary, whatever job. These are all the things that we should do it with intention of pleasing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and the rest have to support them. Not that we give responsibility to some people and then we say, now it is time for us to blame them. It's a good time, if you are really bad with someone, give him responsibility and then start blaming him. This is not good. We are not going to punish these people. We want to work together to develop the community. So we have to give responsibility to people, and we have to support them. We have to respect them. So it must be an honor for everyone who serves the community. It can be a caretaker, it can be a cleaner, it can be any job. When someone is doing for the sake of Allah, it doesn't matter what is the job. It's important that this is done for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we have to support, we have to help. And I want to end my talk, because I want to have good time for discussion, with a reminder of what maybe I said 3 years ago, and some of you may remember, from Du'a Nudbah. You know, in Du'a Nudbah, we have beautiful ideas in addition to the general idea of remembering Imam Zaman. There are many, many beautiful ideas mentioned in between. In one passage of Du'a, when we reach the peak of Du'a and we start talking to Imam Zaman, we say, هَلْ مِن مُعِينٍ فَأُطِيلَ مَعَهُ الْعَذِيلَ وَالْبُكَاءَ. O Imam Zaman, is there any helper with whom I can prolong my cry? It doesn't say, فَأَبْكِي مَعَهُ. Is there any helper with whom I can cry? It says, with whom I can cry longer. If you are doing things alone, you have limited capacity. But if you are doing together, your capacity will be increased. I can do something for 5 minutes, for example. You can do something for 5 minutes. But if we are together, each of us can work for 20 minutes, half an hour. There is a barakah coming from collective work. Yadullah ma'al jama'ah. If 10 people work individually, it would not be equal to 2-3 people working together. We need to work together. Look at the Prophet and his companions. The Prophet had, for many years, very few companions. But he was making rapid progress. Why? Because his companions were very close to each other. They were very united. Imam Ali alayhi salam in Kufa had tens of thousands of people. And he didn't need any enemies. Those people were enough for him as troublemakers. Why? Because they were not united. Even sometimes, Imam Ali says that the followers of Muawiyah are more united than you. They are united over battle, and you are not united over truth. Quantity is important, but more important than quantity is quality. So if we have helpers, if we help each other, فَأُطِيلَ مَعَهُ الْعَذِيلَ. You can cry longer. And even for something like crying, we should look for helpers. We should look for like-minded people, even for crying. Don't say crying is something, private. This is to show you that if for crying you have to look for helpers, so what about tabligh? How can we do tabligh without having a team? How can we run our mosque without having a team? How can we run a school without having a team? How can we promote the cause of Ahlul Bayt in the state, in the country, without having a team? When for crying I should look for helpers, so what about the other things? هَلْ مِنْ جَزُوعٍ فَأُصَاعِدَ جَزَعَهُ إِذَا خَلَى. Is there anyone lamenting for you that I help him when he is alone? إِذَا خَلَى. The mu'mineen must not only meet in Husayniyah and mosque, in public places. They should also meet in khalwa, in private. Like your father and mother. Can you see your father and mother only in the mosque? You say, I always see my father in the mosque. No, you have to go and visit him in his house. Mu'mineen, in addition to meeting each other in the mosque and Husayniyah, they should meet each other in their houses. And this has lots of barakah. Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam said, إِنَّمَا شِيعَتُنَا الْمُتَبَاذِلُونَ فِي وِلَايَتِنَا الْمُتَزَاوِرُونَ لِإِحْيَاءِ أَمْرِنَا. One of the characteristics of our Shia is that they visit each other to revive our affair. They meet each other, they speak about our teachings, they remind each other about good things. This is very much loved by them. هَلْ مِنْ جَزُوعٍ فَأُصَاعِدَ جَزَعَهُ إِذَا خَلَا. Is there any person lamenting for you, in pain for you, that I help him when he is alone? هَلْ قَضِيَتْ عَيْنٌ فَصَاعَدَتْهَا عَيْنِي عَلَى الْقَضَاءِ. Has any eye been in pain, in bruise for you, that my eye would take part of the pain of that eye? You know how much you must love your brother and sister in Iman, that you want to take part of the pain of his eye with your eyes. When you have for example, adult, if you have, for example, a brother who is an adult or uncle and has pain, what do? You say, oh Allah, please heal my brother, my uncle, my cousin. But if there is a child who has pain, what will you do? Say, oh Allah, let the pain of my child come to me. I don't want my child to suffer, because child is innocent, cannot take this. The pain should come to me. Mu'mineen must be so close to each other that when they see a brother or sister is suffering, he says, I want to take part of the pain. هَلْ قَضِيَتْ عَيْنٌ فَصَاعَدَتْهَا عَيْنِي عَلَى الْقَضَاءِ. In the first sentence, you say, is there any helper? In the second sentence, you say, is there anyone that I help him? So twice you offer help, and once you ask for help. This is a sign of Islamic community. People are more ready to help than receiving help. So help is always offered and received, but more offer is there than more request. This is Islamic community. And if you have these three, then what can you say? Only after having these three, you can say, هَلْ إِلَيْكَ يَبْنَ أَحْمَدَ سَبِيلٌ فَتُلْقَى. O son of the Prophet, is there any way to find you and meet you? It's only when you establish this unity among you that you can ask Imam al-Zaman, how can I find you? If you don't have this unity among ourselves, you can never find Imam al-Zaman. Burayd al-Ijli from the city of Kufa, he said to Imam Baqir alayhi salam, oh Imam, you have lots of followers in Kufa. Why you don't uprise against Bani Umayyah? There are many people who are ready to help you and support you. Imam Baqir alayhi salam asked him a very critical question. Imam didn't ask how many. Didn't ask how much money you have, how much weapon you have. No. None of these questions. Imam said, أَيَّضَعُ أَحَدُكُمْ يَدَهُ فِي كِيسَ أَخِيهِ فَيَأْخُذُ حَاجَتَهُ. Are you so close with each other that when a brother is in need, he can put his hand in the pocket of his other brother and takes what he needs? He said, no. He was shocked. What type of question is this? Imam said, فَهُمْ بِدِمَائِهِمْ أَبْخَلْ. So with respect to their blood, they would be even more miserly. So the test is not whether they are ready to give money to me. This is not the test. Every Shia is going to give his money to Imam. The test is, are they so close with each other that their money is shared? You don't feel, bad to take money of your brother when he is not here to ask for permission, and you need money. You know that 100% my brother is happy that I take this money. If Imam Baqir alayhi salam would not accept the offer of people of Kufa because they are not so close, do you think Imam Mahdi would accept our call for coming when we are not united? Imam Baqir was not the last chance, the last opportunity. But Imam Mahdi is the last chance. So he never takes risks. If any Imam had condition to accept the offer and the invitation of the Shia, Imam Mahdi's conditions must be much more, because we don't have any other opportunity. This is the last resort. So he would only come if he sees that when we say we are ready to help you, we show this by being united, by being real brothers and sisters. And this is why he himself said in one of his writings, one of his tawqi'at, he said, لو أن أشياعنا وفقهم الله لطاعته على اجتماع من الأمر. If our Shia, may Allah give them tawfiq to obey him, were united, والوفاء, and they were loyal to the covenant, لما تأخر عنهم اليمن بلقائنا. The blessing of meeting us would not be delayed. Why it is delayed? Because they are not united. وَلَتَعَجَّلَتْ لَهُمُ السَّعَادَةُ بِمُشَاهَدَتِنَا. And the blessing of meeting us and seeing us would be made earlier if they were united. So inshallah, we should aim at achieving all these qualities that I have mentioned, and in particular, this quality of being really one body, not separate bodies, separate individuals. كَمَثَلِ جَسَدٍ وَاحِدٍ, one body. We are all to be cells and organs of one body. Someone is eye, someone is ear, someone is hand, someone is foot, but it's one body, all working together for the same cause. May Allah, inshallah, help us to establish this unity among ourselves, and may Allah enable us to be that generation that is honored by being able to serve Imam Zaman, Ajjalallah ta'ala farajahu sharif, inshallah. Thank you very much.
We will leave some time now for a discussion of questions if Mu'mineen have any. You have a question? Yes.
I have a question on the concept of versus community. In regards to not accepting other sins or shortcomings, how do we balance this with protecting the overall ummah? For instance, say somebody within the community is a habitual liar or cheater, and the outside claims to be a Muslim. Is there ever conditions in which we have the duty to warn others in the community of a certain behavior, and if so, what is the most just way of doing it?
Thank you. Our ulama have defined the places in which ghaiba is permitted, because ghaiba is to say something that a person doesn't want to be said about him. It's true, but still that person wants this to be hidden. So in general, we are not permitted to backbite people, to say something about them that they don't like to be said. But there are some cases which are clearly defined by ulama, and of course this is also a practical issue, and you should ask from your marja. But I give you some general examples that you find in the books on fiqh, but as I said, every marja has to be consulted. One of the cases is that, for example, if a person has been wronged by someone, and you want to report this to a legitimate judge, A person can bring justice. So here you are allowed to say that this person has wronged me. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, لا يحب الله الجهر بالسوء من القول إلا من ظلم. So if someone is mazlum, is oppressed, he can say loudly. But some ulama say he can say loudly to the people that can help him, not to everyone. Because there are people maybe who cannot do anything. Another, for example, case that is mentioned as an exception is man idda'a nasaban. For example, someone is not Sayyid. He says to people, I am Sayyid. And you know that he is not Sayyid. So you can tell people that this person is not a Sayyid. And another case is when someone asks for advice. He wants to get married with someone. You know that person is a bad person. So you have to say something so that that person would not marry and then in future suffers. Of course, you have to say the minimum. So if you know 10 bad things about that person, but even one of them is enough to stop this marriage, so you can say just one. And there are some other cases. So basically, we have to observe the privacy of people, even if they have some bad qualities or if they have committed some sins. And there are exceptions. Those exceptions are to be taken from fiqh and according to each marja. The overall, a standard is this, that the harm of saying something about a mu'min which is not loved by that person to be known, this harm is so high that only can be overridden by a greater harm. So to avoid a greater harm, you may do this ghibah. So if I have a bad quality, this bad quality must not be said to the people unless, if you don't say to the people, a greater harm than this can be caused. The judge here is fiqh. We cannot, decide whether this harm is greater or than harm. This is to be left to fiqh, and according to the hadith that we have and the expertise of maraja, then they decide what is the ruling here for each case. I don't know if I answered. Please. Yeah. Yeah. Please. This is a very complicated issue, and I think it needs particular advice for different cases. Maybe it's very difficult to give general answer to all the cases. Sometimes you need to go on and stand for justice for the person who has abused another person, even if the victim doesn't want to say anything. But in some cases, you have to keep silent because you may cause more harm even to the victim. Because then the victim will be known as a person who has been abused, and maybe this would affect the future of that person as well. It's not just something about the person who was wronged. Even the one who is abused maybe would face difficulties in future. So it's not very easy to give general answer. So my advice is that in such cases, the people who have been witnessing consult a scholar and mention the details. They don't need to mention the names or any personalities, but the details of the case, and get specific guidance for that case. It's like, for example, prescription. You go to the doctor and you say, what is your problem? Then according to your case, the doctor can prescribe something.
We still have half an hour, and we have still an opportunity to ask some questions. So anybody who would like to please ask questions, please go forward.
Yes.
I want to return to the topic about the Quran last night.
Yeah.
As you know, during the early Catholic history, there was somewhat of a increasing position going on over the nature of the Quran,
Yeah.
whether it's a created being
Mm-hmm.
or something that's co-eternal with Allah. We touched on it a little bit with Imam Kitab. Could you expand a little bit on that and maybe that controversial issue and what is the kind of official school of Allah's position on it?
Yes, thank you. One of the debates in early history of theology or Kalam was about whether Word of God is created or not, whether it is Hadith or Qadim, is eternal. And it became a very hot issue. Even some people were put in prison by the caliphs because they had opposite view. In many hadiths, we find that the Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam didn't want the Shia to be involved in this debate. They didn't find this is a genuine question. Maybe because it is very complicated issue and it's not needed for people, to be discussed. Because there are many things that are to be left for the scholars. But if it becomes a public, debate and everyone wants to take a side, there may be confusions. So, for example, there is a hadith from Imam Raza alayhi salam which says that this is not, kind of, I don't remember the exact words, but something like this, that this is not an important issue, but the right position is that the book of Allah, the word of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is laysa bikhaliq wala makhluq, is neither creator nor created. Because in that time, many people had the idea that when something is eternal, it means it is creator. It's God. So to say that Quran is eternal meant for them that Quran must be wajibul wujud, must be a kind of, God. So they were struggling whether to say Quran is God or Quran is created. But none of them is the case. So what we believe is that the Quran, not what is written on the paper. Because, there were people strangely were saying that even the ink by which the Quran is said and the paper on which the Quran is written, these are eternal. We don't say like this. We say that Quran, which originates from the knowledge of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is not created. Quran is not makhluk. Quran is a manifestation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Quran is word of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, not creation of Allah. Human beings, angels, animals, these are created by Allah. But Quran is coming to us from Allah's knowledge. And Lawh Mahfuz is one level of Allah's knowledge. So this is the position that we have with respect to the Quran.
Any more questions? This is the last opportunity now. We're only less than 30 minutes.
Part of it is? There are some hadiths in Sunni sources which says that there were some verses of the Quran that are not there anymore. But what they say to explain and justify this, they say that these were abrogated in recitation. They say naskhut tilawa. Naskhut tilawa means they are not, cancelled or abrogated. Their recitation is abrogated. Means they are there, but you should not recite them. So they have found a kind of loophole to say that something is there, but it's not there. It's there in the sense that it's not cancelled, but we don't write it, we don't print it, we don't publish it, because they must not be recited. So they have such hadiths. There are also some hadiths in the Shiite sources which say that, for example, there were some verses about Wilayah which are not in this Quran. And the late Ayatollah Khouei in Al-Bayan has classified them and very well studied them, that some of them have weak chain of narration, some of them, they don't mean what is normally understood by them, because they refer not to the Quran, they refer to the commentary of the Quran, and there are lots of things. My position has always been this. I say that we don't find this a healthy debate, that Shia accuse Sunni or Sunni accuse Shia that you believe Quran is changed or altered or there was something which is not available today. As long as all Muslims today believe in the Quran, and they say this Quran is what was revealed to the Prophet, not more nor less, we should respect this. We shouldn't go to the books of hadith and find something and charge, the other group. If our Sunni brothers today, they say, we don't believe in those hadiths, we don't want those hadiths to be mentioned, because we want this Quran to be respected, okay, I respect them. I don't go after that. I say, okay, alhamdulillah, this is a good position, that you don't believe in those hadiths. The same is with our hadiths. When our ulama from first generation up to now, if you go to Sayyid al-Murtaza, if you go to Shaykh al-Saduq, if you go to Tabarsi, if you go to Allama Tabatabai, they all say the same Quran that we have today is exactly what was revealed to the Prophet. So no one should charge Shia with believing in the alteration of the Quran. This is not good for any Muslim to bring Quran into question. They think that if they, for example, charge a Muslim from another school, they are, gaining something. This is not gaining, because you are damaging the position of the Quran. So it's better to hide and cover, if there is any hadith, whether it is Sunni or Shia, which would question the position of the Quran. And alhamdulillah, I think 99% of the Muslims, they all have this understanding that the Quran that we have today is exactly the Quran that was revealed to the Prophet. So if someone really loves Islam and the Quran, must not invest on these hadiths and accuse, other groups of Islam for their belief in change of the Quran. سنقرأك فلا تنسى إلا ما شاء الله. Okay. So what's the question? No, he hasn't left it out. إلا ما شاء الله. know, this doesn't mean that part of Quran is forgotten by the Prophet. You know, in many cases in the Quran, this istisna is mentioned, illa ma sha Allah, as a sign of belief that the whole authority belongs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Allah says, we recite the Quran to you and you will not forget unless Allah wants. It means that it's not because of your memory is a good memory, then you don't forget. You cannot forget because Allah doesn't want you to be forgetful. If Allah leaves you to yourself, you will forget everything. It doesn't mean that the Prophet has actually forgotten. The Quran itself says that إِنَّا نَحْنُ نَزَّلْنَا الذِّكْرَ وَإِنَّا لَهُ لَحَافِظُونَ. We have sent down the Quran and we are preserving the Quran. Even one letter of Quran didn't go missing. You're welcome.
Let's ask one question. Last year, I remember with your read in the internet that every night had requested some of the speakers not to really criticize some of the companions of prophets. Would you like to elaborate on that, especially also the Khalifa?
Yeah.
Because some of our history normally does mention some of things which normally would openly criticize some of these Khalifas. So would you like to elaborate on that?
Yeah, you know, about a year or more than a year ago, a person in London said something, you know, about one of the wives of the Prophet. And that created lots of misunderstanding, lots of confusion, and lots of attack against the Shia. And Ayatollah Khamenei issued the fatwa that it is haram to insult, to say anything bad about other wives of the Prophet or any Islamic figure, like the companions of the Prophet. We don't have such a concept in Islam that you can insult, you can humiliate, you can do sab. Imam Ali alayhi salam, in the battle of Siffin, you know, Muawiyah was on the other side and Imam Ali was in this side. But when Imam saw that some of his people are saying bad words about the opposite party, they were swearing at them, he said, أَكْرَهُ لَكُمْ أَن تَكُونُوا سَبَّابِينَ. I don't like you to use bad words. It's a war. But Ali says, my companions must be polite. Imam said, just tell what they have done and what we have done. And then, something very special. Imam said, pray to Allah. Allahumma hqin dima'ana wa dima'ahum. Oh Allah, please preserve their blood and our blood. Ali says to his soldiers, pray that Allah saves their blood and our blood. And wa aslih, reconcile between us. So, we as followers of Ahlul Bayt have to always be polite. We must not use any bad words, even with respect to, you know, animals, let alone human beings, let alone the people who are loved by millions of people. So, Ayatollah Khamenei and many ulama, many other maraj said this, that it is haram to use bad words to insult any of the companions of the Prophet or wives of the Prophet. Alhamdulillah, that's a little bit solved the problem, but every now and then this may come up. So we have to educate people that this is not serving the cause of Ahlul Bayt. Because now, alhamdulillah, there are lots of people who really think about a school of Ahlul Bayt. The only thing that is harmful for us is to make people angry and emotionally hurt them. You can never, win the hearts of people by offending them or offending the people that they love. It's not solving any problem. So we should be very careful, and this doesn't mean that you accept everyone and you justify whatever they did. No, you can have differences of ideas, but you have always to be polite and respectful. This is what a follower of Ahlul Bayt must be. Always polite and respectful. Yes. Yeah. It's not an accurate translation. In Dua Kumail it says, "Man aradani bisu'in fa'aridhu wa man kadani fakidhu." Kada yakidu means to plan. So whoever plans against me, you plan against him. And to plan against him can be by destroying his plan. It doesn't mean that necessarily you harm him. So if someone is planning to create trouble for me, so we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help us by defeating their plans. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, إِنَّهُمْ يَكِيدُونَ كَيْدًا وَأَكِيدُ كَيْدًا. They make plans, I make plans. And then we will see who wins. So, when people, enemies, plan against you as a person or as a community, we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you be our supporter and you plan against them by defeating them. You're welcome. That paper is published in a book, is published in the US about philosophies of peace and just war. But if you email me, I can send you maybe the PDF. It's ma.shomali@hotmail.com. ma.shomali, one word. So inshallah, I will send you the PDF because it may be easier. Yes. Yes.
You were saying that to achieve the highest level of heaven, then you have to know as many verses of the Quran. So what about people who haven't ever come across the Quran or a child who gets taken away early on? What is the commentary on their faith and them wanting to essentially hide it?
Of course, people to be able to reach the highest positions of heaven, they should have made lots of efforts. So a child may go to heaven, that's not a problem, but a child should not expect to reach the highest level of heaven without doing anything. This is one point. The other point is that, as I very briefly and indirectly mentioned yesterday, to read the verses of the Quran and go higher and higher, it's not a matter of just being able to memorize the Quran by heart and then read quickly and go higher and higher. I have this understanding. This is my understanding. I may be wrong. But my understanding is that on the day of judgment, when people go to heaven, they don't read the Quran by memorization. They read the Quran by looking at their own reality. If you have acted according to 100% of the Quran, you find the Quran in yourself. You speak the Quran. And it is like the record of action. The record of action is something official. Otherwise, just looking at the people is enough to tell you what they have done in dunya. So some people who have practiced the whole Quran, they would be able to go to the highest position. Some people who have practiced 99%, they would be able to go to the second level. Think like this. So, to be able to recite the Quran in heaven, it's a matter of how much you have absorbed the Quran, how much the Quran has become part of you. It's not just a matter of memorization. So therefore, maybe a person who was not in dunya memorizer of the Quran, in heaven, who would be a memorizer of the Quran. You shouldn't be surprised. Yeah, so if a person is a believer in God and the hereafter and had no chance to find the truth of Islam, so he followed, another religion of, for example, divine origin, he may go to heaven if he is, excused. But again, depending on what type of personality he has, what type of akhlaq he had, he would be put in some position. But not necessarily in the highest position or the lowest position. He can be higher than many Muslims, but lower than many others, so you cannot judge. Allama Tabatabai has a beautiful discussion in the first volume of Al-Mizan. And he says it's possible that some followers of previous religions are higher than some Muslims. Okay? This has two scenarios. One is, for example, a follower of Jesus before Islam can be higher than a Muslim after Islam. It is obvious. But even today, there may be a Christian who wholeheartedly follows the truth and dies for the truth, but for some reason has not found the truth. This person may go to heaven. And we have many hadiths from Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam that these are the people who are mustad'afun, these are the people who are la yajiduna hila, these are jahil qasir. They can go to heaven. And maybe they are better than many Muslims. We don't have any monopoly. Some Muslim may go to hell. So it's up to Allah to decide. But no one without believing God and the hereafter goes to heaven. To go to heaven need to believe in God and the hereafter.
Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad salawat. Once again, Sheikh Shomali, on behalf of Zahra Islamic Center, we want to take this opportunity to thank you on providing us with 2 days of inspiring wisdom and lectures of yours. And we pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that may He give you the grace and the blessings, inshallah, that you may be able to continue to serve Him for His pleasure, inshallah, for many, many more years to come. We hope, as always, that when you pass by our great country here, that you will always take it within yourself to grace us and honor us with your presence in Vancouver, as we always look forward to your company here, inshallah. And we pray for you and your success in your upcoming workshop in Winnipeg with the Christian Mennonite community and the university there, inshallah. We pray for success in that. And will be a model, inshallah, for all of us in our interfaith relationships that we try to build with other faith communities in Canada. We thank you for all your work, and we thank you for your presence here. Please recite aloud Narai Salawat for Sheikh Shomali, please.
Also, I want to take this opportunity to thank the community here and all the families who hosted our sisters. May Allah, inshallah, reward you and give you, inshallah, more barakah in your life. And also, it may be interesting for you to know that every Tuesday we have a webinar, 9:30 EST, according to you would be 6:30 every Tuesday, and we have started a series of reflection on Munajat 15 by Imam Sajjad alayhi salam. In the past we had Surah Luqman, so now we have started, it's now 4 weeks, Munajat 15. So if you like, you can go to QuranStudy.com, you can watch it live, you can also watch the previous lectures there. So this is a good opportunity to keep in touch, because alhamdulillah, at least online, we can have this discussion. Normally we have 40 minutes talk, 20 minutes question and answer. You can see the speaker, but the speaker is blind, cannot see you.
Thank you very much.
باطل للحق الدولة وللباطل الجولة. Batil always, is quick, going from some place to another place, catching the eyes, attracting your attention. This is the nature of batil. Truth is not that much fast in moving and catching the eyes, but if you are patient, the truth prevails. You can find example in many cases. There are people who don't have, sometimes knowledge. They make lots of propaganda. But after some time, those who are really knowledgeable and pious will be known. Or, for example, there are the schools of thought or, things like that. Like, for example, imagine Marxism. There was a time that Marxism was so common that even many Muslim lecturers in universities, many students, they became Marxist. But where is Marxism now? للحق دولة وللباطل جولة. So, Allah says, batil is like bubbles and go away. وَأَمَّا مَا يَنْفَعُ النَّاسِ فَيَمْكُثُ فِي الْأَرْضِ. So from this verse, I understand that one of the characteristics of haqq is that it must benefit people, and it will therefore remain and endure. Anything that we do which is not beneficial, it is not haqq, and therefore cannot remain. Anything which is done with good understanding of haqq, it would benefit and it would remain. Look at, for example, books written by people. Many people write books. But if you really observe what is needed now, and you write something for serving the truth, it will remain. Look at, for example, Mafatih by Sheikh Abbas Qummi. With a good intention and with a scholarly work, he wrote something that benefited people, and therefore it remained. If it was not beneficial for people, it would not have remained. And if it was not with a scholarly work, it would not have been beneficial. It would be misguiding people or, diverting their attention to something which is not important. So he first identified what is really needed. He put lots of work in that, energy, and importantly, pure intention, and it remained, alhamdulillah. So this is something that we can all learn. We should never do anything just truthful. So they are far from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The Prophet said, a sky has not provided shade and shadow for anyone more frank, more truthful than Abu Zar. Abu Zar was an idol worshipper, but he was truthful. As soon as he realized that God is the true and idols are batil, he became wholeheartedly a believer in Islam. And he was a special man. It is said that even when Abu Zar was taking the Prophet from Mecca to Medina in the night of Laylatul Mabit. He had put the Prophet, under some dress or in some kind of bag. The pagans asked Abu Zar, what are you carrying? He said, I'm carrying Muhammad. He didn't tell lies. And they didn't believe in him. If he's carrying him, why he's telling? So they let him go. If you tell the truth all the time, you would benefit. In the long term, definitely you are going to benefit. But even in the short term, in many cases, maybe 90% you will benefit. It's not that just in the long term. Even in short term, in many cases you benefit. This is why Imam Sadiq said, "An-najatu fi as-sidq." Honesty is the best policy. An-najatu fi as-sidq. So, we have to serve the truth, first by looking for it, second by accepting it, thirdly by not hiding the truth. One of the things is not to hide the truth, just to keep it for yourself. You have to share the truth. Because if something is true, everyone has a right to know that. Of course, the exception is when there are certain things about people's problems and faults and, sins. That type of truths, we should keep it hidden. That is exception. That is a matter of privacy. So if I know something bad of a person, which is true, I shouldn't share it with people. But if it is something which relates to people, it's general, like, for example, knowing about God, knowing about religion, knowing about morality, knowing about the needs of humanity. So you have responsibility to share this truth with other people. This is your love for the truth, that you want the truth to be known by other people. And the other thing is that you have to speak the truth, but in the way that it doesn't harm the truth. And this is where reality and truth are connected. Let me give you an example. Sometimes people think that just to tell the truth is enough. Like some clay or, something, dirty on your face, on your forehead. Maybe you were fixing your car and, some oil or something is now on your forehead. What would you do? You quickly accept and try to remove that. You would not say, this is a child, why I should listen to a child. You would not say, let me hide this, don't accept this. No. You know that when something dirty is on your forehead, you have to accept and try to clean it. But unfortunately, when it comes to moral problems, we don't accept it so easily. If you say, there is something, like a black spot on your, forehead, I accept. But if you say in your heart there is selfishness, I don't accept. And I think by not accepting, the problem is solved. But the problem is not solved. No matter who is telling you the truth, maybe your friend or your enemy, you have to accept the truth. But it's very difficult. One of the biggest tests for us is to accept the truth when it comes from an enemy, or someone with whom we are fighting. I have a fight with someone, and he says something, I have to be so brave that say, oh, you are right. And I believe that such people who admit their mistakes are closest people to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because they are closest to the truth. And to be truthful is not different to serve Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Maybe you find it very different, but I can prove this. That to be truthful is very close to be the best servant of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But بشرطها وشروطها. But sooner or later such a person would reach Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Even if today he is not a mu'min. If he is so truthful, if she is so truthful, that is ready to accept the truth, no matter who is telling the truth, this person is very close to Allah, and the first day he or she becomes a Muslim, he is one of the best Muslims. Look at Salman. Salman had searched for truth. Truth for him was the most important thing. His nationality, his ethnicity, his language, his family were not the most important thing for him. For him, the truth was the most important thing. And the first day Salman became Muslim, he was a special Muslim. It didn't take Salman, many years to become an outstanding companion of the Prophet. It didn't take Abu Zar many years. Why? Because they were truthful and then they became Muslims. So from the first day, they were very close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But unfortunately, there are people who are Muslims for decades and they are not for sake of doing something or just to show off or just to catch the eyes of people. We must find out what is really needed, what is really required from me in service to the truth, and then inshallah when we do it, it will remain for generations. So this is one of the things that, with respect to the truth, I wanted to mention from the Quran. In brief, what we have to do is, first of all, we have to have concern for the truth. I just make a list. Each of them needs explanation, but we don't have time. Very briefly, I just mentioned those things that should, inshallah, remain in your mind, and later, you can expand. One is you have to have concern for the truth. As a mu'min, you cannot be indifferent about the truth. So I don't bother about the truth. This truth can be about your life, about social life, about political life. You cannot say, I am not interested in truth. I don't want to know the truth. Some people think that if we don't know the truth, we would have no responsibility. So it's better not to know. But this is not an excuse. If someone is dying next to me, this is not an excuse to say, I didn't know that he's dying. My neighbor is, starving and has nothing to buy food, and I say, I didn't know. This is not an excuse. So why you didn't try to know? We have to have concern for the truth. We have to look for the truth. And interestingly, this interest in knowing the truth leads us towards God, because the ultimate truth is God. The curiosity that human beings have to find out the truth is not separate from the desire for God. This is the pressure which comes from within to move us towards the ultimate truth, which is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. After having concern for the truth and looking for the truth, we have to accept the truth. It's not that I do everything to find out the truth, but when I see that the truth doesn't benefit me, I want to escape. I don't want to accept. Whether truth is beneficial for you at that moment or not, you have to accept it, because acceptance of the truth in the long term is always beneficial. Maybe for a moment you can hide the truth, you can deny the truth, you can reject the truth, but truth remains. You have to adjust yourself according to truth. You cannot expect the truth to serve you. If we are clever, we will never resist against the truth. One of my teachers used to give us a very good example. He was saying that if someone comes, even a child, and tells you that there is, for example, something. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billahi al-aliyyil azim. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Wa sallallahu ala sayyidina Muhammad wa alihi tayyibin at-tahirin. لا سيما بقية الله في الأراضين أجل الله تعالى فرجه الشريف وجعلنا من أعوان وأنصار. Alhamdulillah, we discussed so far the significance of social life in Islam, and we talked about certain characteristics of an Islamic society or community. We talked about justice. We talked about being balanced. We talked about being united and avoiding division. we talked about the significance of observing the truth. And one of the things that the Quran says about the truth is to be found in this beautiful example in the Quran about haq and batil, about truth and falsehood. Allah says, imagine rain is coming and a kind of either flood or, for example, flow of water is formed. You would see that the surface of water is all covered by, some, as the Quran says, zabad, which is what you call bubbles. It's all covered by bubbles, as if there is nothing else under these bubbles. So your eyes will be filled with these bubbles. But the Quran says this is not going to remain. After some time, when everything becomes stable, these bubbles go away. What remains is water, which is the reality. Allah says, أَمَّا الزَّبَدْ فَيَذْهَبُ جُفَاءً. These bubbles will go away. وَأَمَّا مَا يَنْفَعُ النَّاسِ فَيَمْكُثُ فِي الْأَرْضِ. But what benefits people would remain. So, batil, falsehood is like these bubbles. They occupy every place. They occupy your eyes, You think that there is nothing left. But if you are patient, after some time you will see that everything is clear again and the truth prevails. It becomes again very visible. So this is the nature of haq and